All right, committee number 5, track. Track definition. Track ties tie rail fastenings with all parts of the property relatively placed in alignment at the horizontal location of the railroad, reference to the curves and tangents of the line, the condition of the track regardless of the uniformity direction over the short distance without a tangent, uniformity of the variation direction over the short distance for the curve, the tangent, straight of the track of the curve, the change of the direction means if with one or more radii, curve the simple, the change of the direction means if with a single radius, the curve and compound, the change of the consisting of two or more simple curve, the different radii with all the same direction, joining one another at points with a common tangent. Curve reverse, two curves in the opposite direction in the continuous line, in the opposite direction of the continuous line joining the common tangent point. Curve easement. The curve of the regular varying the radii connection with the tangent. Simple curve with the connection of the dimple. Two simple lines. Curve vertical. Curve the use for the connecting the intersecting with the grade line, surface, surface face. Surface, the condition of the track of the vertical evenness of the smoothness over the short distance level, the condition of the track in which the elevation of the rails is transversely equal, elevation of the amount of which the outer rail is raised above the inner rail. The gauge standard, the gauge is 4 foot 8.5 inches of the gauge of the track, the distance between the head of the rails and the measurement of the right angles thereto at points of 5/8 of an inch below the top of the rail. The fastenings are spliced of bolts and spikes. Maintenance and alignment. Um, Auxiliary fastenings, not locks, tie plates, rail braces, anti-creeping devices. Maintenance and alignment. The adjustment of the tangent. The tangent should be adjusted with the throwing of the tangent between the summits, between the curves. Throwing the curve that must meet the tangent by the partial throwing of the curves. Partially throwing the tangents as may require the least of work. Centers shall be centers should be set as to transit ensure accurate line. Adjustment of the curve. Consideration easement of the curve. The recommendation easement of the curve shall be used as follows for speeds not exceeding 30 miles an hour on all curves exceeding 2 degrees. For speeds not exceeding 60 miles an hour on all curves exceeding 1 degree. Where high speed rails attained on all curves exceeding 30 miles 30 minutes. Easement of the curve shall be used between the curve the different degrees and the same weight of the used between the curve of the tangent. The length of the easement of the curve shall be same. The distance from the curve elevation is the run out. Therefore, this elevation of the curve depends on the node of on the degree, but on the speed of the train's length of the easement of the curve shall vary with the same manner for the ordinance practice of the chord length equivalent to 100 feet for each of the degree of variation of the curve is recommended, but the distance between the curve will not allow this or other reasons of the chord length of 25 to 30 feet to be used. Very high speed road with the chord length of the equivalent to 150 feet per degree of the variation recommended. Any form of transition curve the satisfactory with gradually change for the degree of the curvature in which the length of the chord per degree of the variation can be readily with the change of the pseudo east for the particular case for the essential point being the length of the easement of the curve shall be as the same as the distance in which the elevation of the outer rail is raised from zero to the full elevation. Any transition of the curve of the type of series Crandall or Holbrook Talbot or cubic parabola, which will be susceptible to being of the run with the deflection of the offset recommended. See method of securing the maintaining the perfect line. Permanent witnesses shall be placed at the point of the tangent, point of the spiral points for the change of the curvature summits, and each such other points along the curve of the tangent will enable the line with identically reproduce the transit. Maintenance and service. Elevation of the curve special consideration amount at the beginning of the end of the elevation modified by the location of the curve of the traffic. Approximate formula is elevation of the in feet is equal to the gauge for the track in feet with the velocity in feet per second squared divided by 32.16 radius of the curve in feet. With a given essential correct theoretical elevation of the outer rails curve, the recommended but the ordinary practice must be modified as noted below. The suitable special conditions for greater covariancy, the formula may be further reduced by substituting velocity equals small v equals the velocity of 5,280 divided by 3,600. The gauge of the track in feet is velocity in feet per second is equal to 5,280 over 3,600. Gauge gauge in track in feet is equal to 4.708. Radius and curve of the feet is equal to 5,730 divided by the degree of the curve approximated. This formula will give the result with the expression of the accompanying with the table. The table accompanied showed the velocity of miles per hour from 10 to 70 miles an hour, the degree of curvature from 1 to 20, and the degree of curvature 1 to 20. Since the elevation requirement of the function depends upon the train speed of the first element determined in general, the matter of safety preference shall be given to the fastest passenger train worthy of the evaluation. 8 foot 8 inches shall not exceed the speed of the train, shall be regulated with the form of the evaluation. The elevation of the curve shall be 0 at the point of the spiral, shall increase with the full elevation at the end of the spirals. Begin with the simple curve. The ordinary practice recommended with the elevation with the B of the rim out of the rate of 1 inch for this in 60 feet. Thus may be modified with the same condition. They shall vary with the easement of the curve used. The inner rail shall be maintained with the grade of the vertical curve. The use of the vertical curve's connecting chains and the gradient are so obvious that they to require argument. Length of the determined gradients to be connected with on the first class line. Rate of the chains or 1/10 per station. Summits are 500 for the per station. Sag shall not be exceeded. A minor of 2/10 per station, 1 summit of 1/10 per station, and sags may be used. Proper method of tamping: earth and outlay ballast tools, shovels, and equipped with the iron cuff and handling of the tamping and the rod pointed tamping bars. Alright, work. Tamp each of the tie with 18 inches inside of the rail, end of the which with the hand with the shovel, the tamp with the bar. The possible tamp at the end of the outside of the rail. First left terrain must pass over before the tamping inside of the rail, given the special attention for the tamping under the rail. Tamp center of the ties loosely with the blade of the shovel. The dirt in the clay between the ties must be placed in layers of firmly packed with the feet and otherwise so that it will quickly shed water. Either must be taken on the bank to the bottom of the end of the ties, and the filling between the ties must be not touched with the rail and should be as high and higher than the top of the ties in the middle of the track. 2. The cylinders. Cylinder ballast railroad product. The tool shall shovel the tamping bar with the tamping pick. The work as same as the gravel. 3. Burnt clay and ballast. Tool shoveling in the soft material when burnt, they very hard for the tamping, picking of the bar shall be used. Work tamp of 15 inches of the inside of the rail, end of the tie of the tamping, end of the tie first, letting the train pass before the tamping inside of the rail, tamping the center loosely, tamping well between the ties, dress bit bell, same as the fourth earth cylinders. 4. Broken stone or furnace slag. The tool shovel the tamping, pick up the stone fork, the tamping of the 15 inches inside of the rail to the end of the tie, if possible, the tie. Tamp at the end of the tie outside of the rail. First, allow the train to pass over before the tamping. The inside of the tamp well under the rail. Tamp well under the ties over the end of the same. Do not tamp at the center of the tie. Center of the tie, fill in between the tie of the front height of the top of the tie, the bank ballast and shoulder about the end of the tie level with the top of the tie. Shadow and gravel shirt ballast tools, shovel tamping peg and tamping bar for light traffic. The shovel tamping the decision for the heavy of the track. The tamping bar so be used. The tamping of the peg and bar recommended with instead of the tamping pick in the ordinary practice. Work tensile from the point of 15 inches inside of the rail end of the tie. The possibility of the tamp at the end of the tie outside of the rail first. Allow the train to pass over before the tamping inside of the rail. Care must be taken not to disturb the old bed. Tie must be tamped solidly from the end to end using a pick or tamping bar. The train has been passed at the center of the line of the tie. Shall be loosely tamped with the blade of the shovel and dressed the same as the stone ballast. Alright, 6. General. Not surfacing out of the face in case of the picking of the lowering the joints or the low places, and general level of the track shall not be disturbed. Where the rails are out of level, but where the difference in evaluation is not excessive, is uniform with a long stretch of the track of the difference in the elevation between the two rails. The 3/8 of an inch must be maybe allowed to continue until such time and the track will ordinarily be surfaced out of place. Maintenance of the gauge. Recommended practice method used for preventing spreading of the track and canting of the rail over the curve. For heavy traffic, use tie plates on all ties on curve. For medium traffic, tie plate on all curves over 3 degrees. For light traffic, double spike on over the outside rail. Tie plates recommended in preference with the rail brace expressed with the guardrail stack rail switches and later should be used. Tie plates applied in all cases were greater than company with the maintenance and secure, but their use depending on the life of the tie and limited rail wear. Standard drilling for the rails. Recommended joint recommendation for the track and rail committee. The standard drilling of the rails as follows. The end of the rail center first hole is 13/32 of an inch. Center of the first hole with the center line, and the second hole is 5 inches. The center of the second hole from the center of the third hole is 5 inches. The diameter of the hole rather than 3/16 of an inch larger than the diameter of the bolt. Use the punching and the slicing, alternatively oblong round, to permit the sagging of the bolts in the rail higher enough to allow without the flanging interface the round hole diameter to be 1/16 of an inch larger than the diameter of the bolts over threaded. Alright, this shows the proposed standard drilling, 2 and 2 inch 382 30 seconds, 32 2 and 13 32 inch, and then 5 inch separation from the second and third hole. Standard drilling for 6 holes. 2 and 13 32 inch standard drilling for 4 inch holes. 5 inches still is on the throw. Your frog blocking. Recommended practice. The heel of all frogs may be made with a steel filler or block of the fill. The section rail securely bolted without outer end of the filler plane off the 3/8 of an inch below the top of the rail, active with the right razor over the outer edge of the worn tread. The wings of the throat of all the frogs are blocked with a metal wooden block shape of the fill to fit the rail section. They have 1 and 1 inch of the flange clearance to be secure with the bolted frog. Alright, 6. Buildings. Conclusion. Relatively one general waiting with a room and separate waiting rooms in local passenger stations without reference to separate waiting rooms of the colored people. That's really out of date. Your committee recommendation of the American Association approved of the use of the general waiting of the room in local passenger station without reference to separate waiting rooms for the colored people. Your committee recommended the use of the general waiting room for the local passenger station as shown in diagrams number 1, 2, and 3 of the following reasons. It also permits general waiting room to be properly portioned and permits the proper development of the retiring room for the women in private interest for their toilet. Ready to admit the other room for being properly proportioned. It allows easy access for the agent officer with the train and baggage room and waiting room. It allows the ticket office to be used for the registering of the OS for OSing room. It admits the station being contracted with inside of the determinant of the facility's economy and the heating. It admits easily varied treatment of the architecturally. This shows your general waiting room, a 50-foot by 75-foot woman's retiring room, toilets, general waiting room, track front, ticket office, telegraph, baggage room. Also to your figure 2, you see the 80-foot by 90-foot general waiting room, woman's retiring room, toilets, baggage room, and ticket office. And third room, 100-foot by 125-foot general waiting room, toilet, woman's retiring room, ticket office, telegram, or baggage room. Requirements of a modern roundhouse. The committee recommended for the modern roundhouse to be designed and equipped as follows. The circular house with the locomotive should be stand with the house normally to the center toward the turntable. The distance of the center of the turntable to the inner side of the roundhouse should be determined with the number of stall required for the full circle. The length of the stall along the center of the line of the track should not be less than 85 feet in center. The clear opening with the entrance of the door shall not be less than 12 foot in width and 17 foot in height. The angle between the adjacent tracks shall be even factor of 180 degrees so that the tracks are opposite end of the turntable will line up with it. The turntable should not be less than 75 feet in length. The turntable should be operated with a power, preferably electric. The material used for the construction of the house should be non-corrosive unless the proper care with the taken prevent corrosion. Engine pit should be not less than 60 foot in length and condensed for the floor with a drainage short of the turntable. The walls and the floors may be concrete with a proper vision should be made with the construction for the support of the jacking timber of the roundhouse. The doors should be made with non-corrosive metal. The smoke jacks shall be fixed with having large hoods and the constructed, preferably non-constructive material supplied with the dampers. The cross-section of the sack should be not less than 30 inches in the diameter. The floor shall be permanent construction. They should be ground between the pits within the part adjacent with the pits where the jacking limits should be wood. Alright, 10. The drop pit should be furnished with the handling of the trucks and wheels, driving wheels, and tender wheels. They must be. These can be mostly economically constructed in pairs. 11. If the building is heated with hot air, it should be indirect method of supply should be taken with the exterior of the building, and the recirculation of the air should be allowed. The air should be delivered into to the pits under the engine portion of the locomotive. Air ducts should be located under the floor, and special precautions should be taken to keep them dry. As much light should be obtained with the exterior of the building as the good construction will allow. There should be a light and a plug outlet with the incandescent lights at each of the space between the stalls. The context of the boiler should be taken care of and discharged outside of the building, and suitable receptacle heat units as used and may be deemed best. Cold water should be supplied with each of the alternate spaces between the stalls from an outlet not less than 2.5 inches located at the point between the opposite and from end of the firebox, and the water pressure should not be less than 80-pound hydrants shall be located below the floor of the eye and properly with constructed pits or applied drained. Burner practice required for the use of the hot water maintenance of the boilers, compressed air used for the mechanically hoisting and blowing of the operations. Overhead unit outlets should be furnished in each of the space between the stalls opposite with the front end of the firebox. The pressure should be from 80 to 100 pounds. The roundhouse should have a facility for the location with all the necessary machinery tools, preferably electrical driven. 18 air hoists and portable gooseneck cranes with different blocks and wheels shall be furnished for the handling heavy repair parts. 19 turntable pit side walls shall be concrete with wooden and coping not less than 6 inches thick, and the ties under a circular rail should be supported on concrete walls, and pivot masonry may be over the concrete with stone cap. Alright, committee number 8, Masonry general definition. The following definitions are adopted with the association of the comprehensive definition for the coverage of the kind of masonry. The further recommendation from the usual practice of the word masonry is qualified some proper term to more particularly describe the kind of masonry under consideration. Masonry is the wide term that includes all construction of stone considered kindred substitute materials in which the separate pieces are either placing together with or without cementing material to join them, or when not separately placed in case of the matrix or firmly in cementing material. Masonry specifications is recommended practices, principles of practice. Association recommended for the good practice. The railroad company prepares and specification complete for themselves all the kinds of masonry to be in such form that they may be attached with them form of the specification contracts for other railroad construction when desirable. All right, Portland cement. The cement shall be Portland, either the American foreign or with which will meet the requirements of the standard specifications. 2. Sand shall be clean and sharp at the core for the grain, varying with the size of this shall be free from sticks or other foreign matter, which may contain clean clay loam, not exceeding 5% of the crushed dust screen to reject all particles over 1/4 of an inch in the diameter may be used instead of the sand approved by the engineer. Stone shall be sound and hard, durable. The crust in size not exceeding 2 inches in any direction. For reinforced concrete, usually not exceeding 3/4 in any direction, may be varied with the character of the reinforced material. Gravel should be composed of clean, pebbled, hard, durable stone of the size not exceeding 2 inches in diameter. Shall be free from clay and other impurities except sand. When containing sand in a considerable quantity, the amount of sand per unit of the volume of the gravel should be determined accurately to admit the proper portion of the sand being maintained to the concrete mixture. Water shall be clean and reasonably clear, free from sulfuric acid and strong alkalines. Mixing by hand. A tight platform should provide the sufficient size to accommodate the men and the material for the progressive rapid mixing of the least 2 batches of the concrete at the same time. Batches must not exceed 1 cubic yard each. Smaller batches are preferably based upon the multiple number of the sacks and cemented barrel. B. The spread of the sand evenly upon the unit platform, the cement upon the sand of the mixing through the until even color and all the material water necessary to make them thin. Mortar spread again, and the gravel is used. If used finely broken stone, both which, if the dry, shall be the first thoroughly wet down, turn mass with the shovel horn hose and using thoroughly incorporated with all the grooves, gravel and stone covered with the motor, which will probably require the mass to be turned 4 times. Another approved method which may be permitted with any of the an option the engineer is charged with the spread of the sand and the cement and the mixing and drying of the gravel broken and the add water to the mixing thoroughly as above. A machine mixer shall be used whenever the volume of the work will justify the expense of installing the plant. The necessary requirements for the machine will be precise, regular, proportionate, but the materials can be controlled from the product delivered shall be made of the required consistent through the mixer. Consistency. The concrete shall be with such a consistency that when dumped in place, it will not require much tamping. It shall be spaded down and tamped sufficient to level off the water. Shall be rise freely to the surface of forms. Forms shall be will be built substantially unyielding. The properly braced, tied together with the wires and the rod shall conform with the lines of the governing. For the all-important work of the lumber used for the face of the work shall be distressed on one side of the bolt edge for the uniform thickness for the width shall sound and free of the loose knots secured to the studding of the upright over the horizontal line. For the backing of the rough work of the undressed lumber may be used for the corner of the masonry. Other projections liable to injury occurs. Substitutable molding shall be placed in the angle of the forms to round it off and bevel them. Lumber once used for the form shall be cleaned from before being used against the form. Shall not be removed for the 36 hours after all the concrete in that section has been played. The free weathering that must remain with the concrete sufficient time to become thoroughly set. In the dry but not freezing weather, the form shall be drenched with the water before the concrete is placed in against them. 10. Each layer shall be somewhat rough to ensure the bonding of the next layer above it is already set with it shall be thoroughly cleaned and scrubbed with a coarse brush of the water before the next layer is placed upon it. The concrete shall be deposited with the molds and layers and thickness of the position shall be specified by engineer in charge with the temporary plank which shall be placed in the end of the partial layer so that none shall run out of the thin edge of the general exempting the arch work walls. The concrete must be deposited in the horizontal layer uniform thickness throughout. Alright, the work shall be carried upon the section convenient length with each of the section complete with an intermission. In no case shall the work on section stop within 18 inches of the top, and the concrete shall be placed immediately after mixing any of the final having initial setup when it shall be rejected. Expansion joints. Exposed for the work expansion joint must be provided with the intervals of 30 to 100 foot as the character of the structure may require. Temporary vertical or portion of the blank shall be set up with the section behind the completed as though it were end of the structure. The portion shall be removed with the next section and begun with the new concrete placed against the old without mortar flushing. The locks shall be provided in the direction called for the plans. In reinforced concrete, the length of the section may be materially increased with the option of the engineer. Facing. This facing will be made with carefully working with the course of the material back from the forge. Means of a shovel, bar, or similar tool that has to bring excessive mortar with the concrete to the face. B. About 1 inch of the mortar not grout. The same proportion of the use of the concrete may be placed next to the form immediately in advance of the concrete. C. The care must be taken to remove the inside of the forms and dry mortar in order to secure the perfect face. Proportionating. Portioning of the materials in the concrete should be specifically called by a contract set forth in here and upon the lines of the left and the purpose of the volume meant to be based upon the actual cubic contents of one barrel of specified weight. Your structure, your parts of volume, cement, sand, and gravel, and broken stone is not figured out. 14A. After the forms are removed, this should be general with the B as soon as possible after the concrete is sufficiently set with all spinal cavities opening of the file. Finishes shall neatly be filled with the mortar. The necessary opening of the engineer, the ridges due with the crack in the points. The lumber may be run down with the chisel or wooden float. The entire face may be washed within thin grout with a consistency of white wash mixed with the same portion of the mortar with the concrete. The wash should be applied with the brush. The easier the earlier than above the earlier the above operations are performed, the better will be result. On the top of the bridge set with the pedestal coping, wing walls, etc. will not be furnished with a natural stone coping. They should be finished with a smooth surface composed of 1 part cement with 2 parts of the granite and 1 suitable sand applied with a layer 1/2 to 1 inch thick. This must be placed in the last course of the concrete. Waterproof. When waterproofing is required, the end coat of the metal mortar grout and shall be applied with the finishing coat upon which shall be placed in the covering and suitable waterproof material. Alright, freezing weather. Ordinary cements to be left above the surface of the ground will not be constructed with the freezing weather. The Portland cement concrete, however, may be built under these conditions. Special instruction. In this case, the sand, water, and broken stone shall be heated in severe. The cold salt shall be added in proportion to about 2 pounds per cubic yard. Alright, reinforced concrete. When concrete is deposited in connection with the metal, reinforcement of the greatest of the care must be taken to ensure the coating of the metal with the concrete is thoroughly compacted with the concrete around the metal. Whenever practicable, the metal should be placed in position further. This can be usually done in the case where the metal occurs in the bottom of the forms, the supporting the same of the transverse wire. Otherwise, the bottom of the car forms can be flushed with the cement and the mortar so that the mortar can under the metal at the same time. The concrete deposits immediately afterward. The mortar, the flushing of the bars shall be composited when 1 part cement and 2 parts sand. With the middle use of the concrete shall be free from dirt and oil and grease. All mill scales shall be removed by hammering by metal, and preferably by picking the same of the weak solution of muriatic acid. No salt will be used with reinforced concrete when laid in freezing weather. Alright, sorry, let's go back over to here. Efficiency concrete backing with stone face work. The recommended principle of the practice. Under certain conditions, use of the concrete backing from stone the face work is desirable is considered good practice when economical. Embedding large stones in the interior of the heavy concrete structure. Embedding large stones in the interior of the heavy concrete structure, except the good practice of saving wood, result when the thickness of the structure is not less than 4 foot. The use of concrete under bridge seats in place with stone pedestals. Concrete is either plain or forced and recommended with a suitable bridge seat and pedestal cap. Often is more economically than the use of limestone and sandstone. Economy and advisability of substituting reinforced concrete with the common forms of the construction of small openings. The good practice of the permits substituting reinforced concrete with the common forms of the construction for small openings. Specification for normal, natural, and Portland cement. The recommended standard for the specification, but the standard specification for the cement adopted by the Joint Committee embracing the representative of the American Society of Civil Engineers, American Society of Testing Material, American Institute of Architecture, Engineering, Department of the United States Army, Association of Portland Cement with the Manufacturers of American Railway, Engineering Maintenance of the Way, Association. General observation prepared and adopted by the Joint Committee. The remarks have been prepared with the view of the pointing out with the pertinent feature of the various requirements of the precautions that to be observed with the intermittent interpretation of the result of the test committee would be suggested the acceptance or rejection under the specification be tested made with the experience of the person having the proper means of making the test. Specific gravity is useful as detection and alteration under burning with the result of the test with the specific gravity, but not necessarily with the conclusively as an indication for the quality of the cement when in combination with the result of the other tests may be affordable, valuable indication. The sea should be kept thoroughly dry with great care, should be accessed maintained with the test placed under the uniform conditions. It's possible the sudden change of the wide range temperature in the room in which the tests are made in very dry and humid atmosphere of the irregularities visually affect the rating of the setting. Tensile strength. Each consumer must have fixed minimum requirements for the tensile strength and suit of his own condition. They shall, however, be within the limits stated. Consistency of volume. The test of consistency of volume is divided into 2 classes. The first normal, the second accelerated. The latter shall be regraded with the precautionary test and not infallible. Any conditions entering into making the interpretation of that which should be used with extreme care. With making the pass with the greatest care should be exercised to avoid initial straining due to molding and the rapid drying out during the first 24 hours. The patch should be preserved under the most uniform conditions possible. The rapid change of the temperature should be avoided. The failure to meet the requirements of accelerated testing is not sufficient with the cause of rejection. The cement may, however, be held for 28 days and retested made by the end of that period. The failure to meet the requirements at this time should be considered sufficient cause for rejection. Although it is present state for the our knowledge it can be, and it is said that such failure necessarily indicates insoundness, nor can it be this cement considered entirely satisfactory simply because it passes the test. Our standard specification for cement. All cement shall be inspected. Cement shall be inspected either in place with the manufacturer on the work. In order to allow ample time for the inspection and testing, the cement shall be stored with a suitable weather-tight building having the floor properly locked and raised from the ground. The cement shall be stored in such a manner that to permit the easy for the access of the proper installation and identification of each of the shipment. Every facility shall be provided with a contractor and peer with the last 12 days to allow for the inspection necessary test. The cement shall be delivered in a suitable package with the brand and the manufacturer plainly marked on the hereon. A bag of cement shall be contain 94% of the cement net. Each of the barrel of the Portland cement shall contain 4 bags, and each barrel of the natural cement shall contain 3 bags of the and above the net weight. 8. Cement failing to meet the 7-day requirements may be held with waiting the result of 28 days tested for rejection. All tests should be in accordance with the method proposed in the Committee for the Uniform Test of the Cement of the American Society of Civil Engineers, presented to the Society in January 21st, 1903, and hereby amended in January 20th, 1904. With all subsequent amendments thereto, and see addendum with the specification of the acceptance of rejection shall be based on the following requirements. Alright, natural cement. 11. The term shall be applied with the finely pulverized product resulting from the calciation of the argillaceously limestone as temperature with only sufficient to drive the carbon and acid gas. Alright, 12. The specific gravity of cement thoroughly drive with 100 degrees Celsius shall not be less than 28. If it shall be laid with the weight of the residue not more than 10% with the number 130% with the number 200 Cs. It shall develop an initial set with not less than 10 minutes and the hard set in not less than 30 minutes and no more than 30 hours. The minimum requirement of the tensile strength of the brick beds of 1 square inch and 1 inch square with the cross section shall be with the following limits, but it shall not reach retrogression in strength within the period specified. 24 hours in the moisture of 500 and 100 pounds, 7 days in 1 day in the moisture, 6 days in water, 120 200 pounds, 28 days at 27 230 pounds. 1 part cement of 3 parts standard sand, 7 days in 1 day in moist air, 6 days in water, 25 to 75 pounds, 28 days, 1 day in moisture, 27 days in water, 75 to 150 days, 50 pounds, sorry. 16 parts of the neat cement with about 3 inches of the diameter, 1/2 of the thickness and thick in the center of the tampering of the thin edge that shall be kept in the moist air for the period of 24 hours. A pat in this cap in the air with a normal temperature, and another kept in water maintained with nearly 70%, 70 degrees as practicable. These parts observed with the intervals for at least 28 days, and to the satisfactory pass, the session shall be remain firm, but the hard and show no signs of distortion, checking the cracking, disintegrating. Alright, Portland cement. The definition of the term is applied with the finely pulverized product resulting from the calciation of the inception and fusion of the intermittent picture of the properly proportionized aggregates and calcareous materials to which no additional greater than 3% have either been subsequent to calciation. Specific gravity. The specific gravity of cement thoroughly dried at 100 degrees Celsius shall not be less than 3/10. It shall leave the weight of the residual no more than 8% on the number 100, not more than 25% on the number 200. See if this should develop the initial set with not less than 30 minutes, but must develop in the hard set not less than 1 hour, no more than 10 hours. And the minimum requirement of the tensile strength of the briquettes of 1 square inch of the section shall be the following limits and shall be not retrogression in strength within the period specified. 24-hour days in moisture air, 150 to 200 pounds, 7 days, 1 day in moisture, 6 days in water, 450 to 50 days pounds, 28 1 day in moisture, 27 days in water, 550 650 days, 1 part cement, 3 part sand, 7 days, 1 day in moisture, 6 days in water, 1 day, 28 days, 1 day in moisture, 27 days in water, 300 pounds. Alright, pats of new cement about 3 inches of the diameter, 1/2 of the thickness of the center of the tampering, the thin edge of the shall be kept in the moist air of the period of 24 hours. The pat is then kept in the air of normal temperature observed at intervals at least in 28 days. Other pats kept the water maintained with near 70 degrees Fahrenheit as practical with the observed intervals that are at least 28 days. A third part of the expire exposed in any convenient way to the atmosphere with the steam of the boiling water and loosely closed with the vessel in the 5 hours. These pats are satisfactory pats. The requirement shall remain with the firm and hard snow, no signs of distortion, checking, cracking the integration. The cement shall not contain more than 1.75% or anhydrous sulfuric acid, nor more than 4% of the magnesium. Alright, your addendum. Abstract for the method of recommendation of the Special Committee for the Uniform Testing the Cement of the American Society of Engineers. Selection of a sample. The sample should be fairly average for the content of the package recommended, where the conditions permit 1 barrel in every 10 to be sampled. All samples should be passed for the C with the halving of the 20 meshes per line inch in order to break up the lumps, to remove the foreign matter, and there's as very effective method of mixing together in order to obtain average determining the characteristics of the shipment of the cement. Individual samples may be mixed, and the average tested whenever the time will permit. However, they recommended that they be tested separately. Method of sampling. Cement in the barrel should be sampled thoroughly with a hole made in the cement of one of the staves midway between the heads and the head by the auger of the sample iron ore, similar to those used in sugar inspectors. If in the bags, it should be taken from surface to center. Chemical analysis. As method of the file with the analysis of the kind of cement with the proposed committee for the uniform analysis of the material of the Portland cement industry, the New York section of the Society of Chemical Industry, published in the Journal Society of January 15, 1902. Recommended. Apparatus method. Determination of the specific gravity most convenient made with the lead character shatters apparatus consisting of the flask D figure 1 of the 124 cubic EMs or 77 cubic centimeters capacity of the neck, which is about 20 centimeters and long, with the middle of the neck of which the bulb is above and below the two marks of the F and E, or the volume between these marks is 20 centimeters cubic centimeter. The neck of the diameter of 9 millimeters is graduated into tenths of the cubic centimeters of the mark of the F. Benzene, 62% volume. Benzene, kerosene free from the water, should be used for making the determination. Part 7. Specific gravity can be determined in two ways. The flask is filled with either liquid for the lower the mark with the E with the 64 graduated or 2.25 ounces of powder previously dried at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, cooled to the temperature liquid gradually introduced thoroughly through the funnel B, stem of which extends within the flask of the tube of the bulb into the mark of the upper mark of the root mark of the F is reached. The difference in the weight being the cement remaining in the original quantity is 64 GRs or 2.25 ounces, the weight of which is placed in 24 cubic centimeters. This shows the Schattler specific gravity apparatus. Alright, 8B. The whole quantity of the powder is introduced at the level of liquid rise to the same some division graduated neck. The reading of the plus of 20 cubic centimeters of the volume is displayed for the 60 grams for the powder with the specific gravity is obtained with the form of this calculation. Specific gravity over the wave of the cement and over the displaced volume. Alright, 10. The flask during the operation is kept immersed in the water in the jar with A in order to avoid variation of the temperature of the liquid. The resultant should agree with the tenth of a hundredth. Convenient method of cleaning the apparatuses followed with the flask is introverted with the overlarge vessel, preferably with a glass jar shaken vertically up until the liquid starts to flow freely, then is held until the vertical position is empty. The remaining trace of the cement can be removed in a similar manner with pouring it into the flask, a small quantity of clean liquid and repeating operation. This is the cat needle system. Fineness apparatus. The sieve that should be circulated with the 20 centimeters in the diameter, 6 centimeters in height, provided with a pan of 5 centimeters depth and covered. The wire cloth should be woven, not twilled from brass wire, having following diameters of number 100 at 45 10,000 of an inch, number 224 10,000 of an inch. Alright, 14. The cloth should be mounted with the frame without distortion. The mesh should be regular in spacing between the following limits. Number 196 to 100 mesh with the linear inch. Number 200, 180 to 200 mesh with the linear inch. 50 grams or 1.76 ounces to 100 grams of 38.52 ounces should be used for the testing dried at the standard temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit prior to sieving. Though thoroughly dried, quarterly screened the sample is weighed to place on the number 2 sieve, which the pan with the cover attached to the held in one hand, slightly inclined in position, moved forward and backward at the same time, striking the side generally with the palm of the other hand at the rate of about 200 strokes per minute. The operation continued until more than 1/10 of the 1% passed through the after 1 minute of the continuous sieving. The sidule is weighed and placed on the number 100 sieve with the operating repeated. The work may be expedited by placing all the sieve with a small quantity over the large shot, and the result should be reported to the nearest tenth of 1%. Alright, normal consistency. This can best be determined by the means of the glycol needed with the apparatus with the position of the frame of K with the figure B to the movable rod L with the cap of the A, the open end of the another cylinder B with the 1 centimeter of the diameter and the cap of the rod cylinder weight of 300 grams or where the rod which be held with the desired position with the screw that carries on the indicator which moves over the scale of graduated centimeters attached with the frame K. The paste for that is held with the cylindrical hard rubber ring I, 7 centimeters in diameter at the base, 4 centimeters at height, resting on the glass plate J, about 10 centimeters in square. And making the determination of the same quantity of the cement is subsequent use for the batch making the briskets, but not more than less than 500 grams is needed into the paste described in paragraph 38. Quickly, you can form it into the ball and hand for the completing of the operation by tossing in 6 times from one hand to the other, maintaining in 6-inch part with the ball and pressed into the rubber ring throughout the large opening, smooth off and into place on its large end on the glass plate, with the smaller end of the smoothed out with the trowel of the paste confined in the brain, resting on the plate with the place under the rod wearing the cylinder, which is brought into the contact with the surface and quickly released. The paste is normally consistent with the cylinder and penetrator. To the point of the mass of 10 millimeters below the top ring, greater than care must be taken to fill the ring with exactly to the top. 20 of the trial pastes are made with the varying percentage of the water until the correctly consistent with is obtained. Note, the committee of the same specification inserts the following table of temporary used to be replaced by one of the devised committee with the American Society of Civil Engineers. Percentages of the water from the standard mixtures, they follow cement and stand. Times of setting. For the purpose of the Vickett needle that has already been described in paragraph 17 should be used in making the test for the pass for the normal consistency mold of the place under the rod of the L with the figure 2 described in paragraph 18 of this rod bearing the cap D at one end of the needle with the H 1 millimeter in the diameter over the weighting of the 300 grams. The needle is then carefully brought to the contact with the surface of the paste and quickly released. The setting is said to have commenced with the needle C at the point of the 0.5 millimeters or above the upper surface of the glass plate, and said to have determined the amount of movement of the needle does not need sync visibility in the mass. The test piece should be stored in the moistening air during the test. This is accomplished by placing a rack over the water and contained with the pan covered with a damp cloth closed with the cap away from the means of the wire screen, and they may be stored in the moist box or closet. Care should be taken to keep the needle care with the collection of the cement with the side of the needle retarded with the penetration, while the cement on the point reduces the air and tends to increase the penetration. This shows the details for a brisket. The determination of the time setting with is only approximately material effective with the temperature, mixing water with the temperature, humidity with the air during the test, and the percentage of the water used amount of the molding of the paste of the receives. Standard sand. For president of the committee, the recommended the natural sand Ottawa, Illinois screens the pass receive the 20 meshes per linear inch of the retained with the sheave handling 30 meshes per linear inch. The wires to determine the of 1.165 10,000 of an inch to 112 10,000 inch respectively. I have the width of the opening of each case. The sand having passing from the number 20 sieve shall be considered standard no more than 1%, and passing number 30 sieve after 1 minute, but continue sifting of 150 grams sample. Sandy Dust Portament and Cement Company Sandusky, Oscar, Ohio has agreed to undertake the preparation of the sand and furnish it at all prices until sufficient to cover the actual process of the penetration. Alright, form of briquet. The form of the briquet recommended with the form of the committee, but the society is not wholly satisfactory. The committee is not prepared to suggest any change other than rounding off the corners by the curves at one half of the radius in figure 3. Mold. The mold should be made with the brass and bronze, some equally non-corrodable material having sufficient metal within the side of the spreading of the molding. Gang molds, which permit molding of a number of the briskets at one time, are preferred with any of the single molds, but since the greater quantity of the mortar can be mixed in to produce the greater uniformity of the result. The time shown in figure 4 is recommended. Figure 4 shows the detail of the gang mold. The mold should be wiped off in the oil cloth before using the mixing. All portions should be stated with this way with the quantity of the water to be used and stated with the percentage of the drying material. The metric system is recommended because of the convenience of the elevation of the gram to cubic centimeter. Alright, 35. The temperature of the room, the mixing water should be nearly 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Practical to maintain the sand. The cement should be dubbed thoroughly mixed and dried. Mixing should be done on the non-absorbing surface, preferably plate with the glass. The mixing must be done with the absorbing surface. The mix should be thermally dampened prior to use. The quantity of the material to be mixed at one time depends on the number of the test pieces to be made. With about 100,000 grams makes a convenient quantity to mix, especially the hand methods. The material is weighed and placed on the mixing table. The greater form in the center within which the proper percentage of the clear clear water is poured the material on the outer edge of the turn out into the crater of the aid of the trowel. As soon as the water has been absorbed, which has not required more than 1 minute, the operation is complete with the vigorously kneading of the hand of additional 1 1/2 minutes of the processing being similar to the beating used for the kneading dough of sand glass, afforded with the convenient guide from the time of the kneading. During the operation of the mixing, the hand should be protected by gloves, preferably rubber. Molding. Having worked on the paste of the mortar of the proper consistency with one placed in the molds by hand, the mold shall be filled once the material pressed in firmly with the fingers and smoothed over with the trowel without ramming. The material should be patted up with the upper surface of the mold, and the smoothing off of the trowel should be drawn over the mold, in which the manner in such exert the moderate pressure of the excessive material. The mold shall be turned over the operation repeated. 41. Check upon the uniformity of the mixing and molding of the affordability weighing of the briquettes should just be part of the immersion. Upon the removal of the moist claws of the briquettes with a varying the weight of more than 3% for the average should be not tested. Or storage of the test pieces during the first 24 hours after the molding. Test pieces should be kept in the moist air, preventing them from drying out. 43. Moisture of the closet chamber is so easily divised that the use of the damp cloth should be abandoned if possible. Covering the test pieces with the damp cloth is objectionable, commonly used because the cloth may dry out unequally. The consequence of the test if the pieces are not all maintained under the same condition when the moist cloth is available. The cloth may be used, kept uniformly while immersing in the ends of the water. It should be kept clean with the direct contact with the test piece for the means of the wire screen with a similar arrangement. 44. A moist closet consists of the soap stone slate box, the metal loading wooden box, metal lining being covered with a felt this felt. This is form figure 5 is a form of a clip. Kept wet. The bottom of the box is constructed with a hold water, and the sides provided with a clean glaze holding glass, and it is sheathed within the place of the brackets. Care should be taken to keep the air in the closet uniformly moist. 45. After 24 hours of the moist air, the test bead with a longer period of the time, it should be immersed with the maintained with the nearest 21 degrees, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Practically, where they may be stored in tanks or pans, which should be in a non-corrodable material. Alright, tensile strength. The test may be made with the standard machine. The solid metal clips is shown in figure 5 with the recommended the clip is may be used without cushioning at the point of the contact of the test specimen. The bearing that each of the contact should be on 1/4 inch of the wide, and distance between the center of the contact of the same clip should be 1/4 inch. 1 1/4 inch, sorry. The test pieces should be broken as soon as they are removed from the water, but the care should be observed at the center of the briquet with the testing machine cross-strained, but the produced for the improper centering of the tending over the breaking strength. Load should not be applied with the too suddenly, and it may be produced vibration of the shock from which they often break with the briquet. Before the ultimate strength is reached, the care must be taken of the clips and the slide with the briquet being clean with the free from the grains of the sand and the dirt, which could be prevented with a good pairing. Loading should be applied at the same rate of 600 pounds per minute. The average of the briquets sampling tests should be taken as a test. The ending with the result manifestly faulty. Consistency of volume. The tests of consistency volume are divided into two classes: normal testing that are made when the air maintained at 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Solid tests are those made with the air, steam, and water with a temperature of 115 degrees Fahrenheit upward. The test pieces should be allowed to remain 24 hours in the moist air before immersion in the water and steam or preservation in air. For the test pads of 7.5 centimeters in diameter, 1 1/4 centimeter thick with the center tampering. The thin edge should be made upon the clean glass plate with 10 centimeters in square from the cement paste the normal consistency. Pat is immersed with the water containing nearly at 70 degrees Fahrenheit as possible for 28 days. Observed in the interval. Similar pat is maintained with the air in ordinary temperature observed in intervals. A pat is exposed in any convenient way of the atmosphere with the steam above the boiling point is loosely closed vessel. Capacity satisfactory. The pat should be remain hard and show no sign of cracking, distortion, disintegration. Should the pat leave the plate, with the distortion may be detected best with the straight edge applied with the surface of water which is in contact with the plate. Section 9. Signs, fences, crossing, cattle guards.